It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. Unearthly intentional. It's unbelievable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to his
and her perspective.
Here at His and Her Perspective, we find common ground to harmonize relationships. And we do that by having conversations like we're going to have today, so that we can engage with you. You can engage with us. We can have conversations that are really luring around different topics in relationships. We think that this is going to be helpful because a lot of couples are challenged and some couples are not. And there are some winning couples. Speaking of winning couples, who's winning this week, Vaun?
I want to shout out a couple that have been together. I think it's about 23 years, if I'm not mistaken. Travis and Paris Lyles, Mr. Travis and Paris Lyles, originally out of Oak Park. I think they live in a different suburb right outside of Chicago now. They've been together for about 22 years, and they have 2 children and I think 2 grandchildren, if I'm not mistaken.
I love it.
They doing it big. They're doing real good, holding it down for representing Black love in a special way. So shout out to Travis and Paris Lyles, our couple for the week. Love y'all.
I love it. Couples that are winning. So we're going to talk about some couples that are not quite winning, which is what our topic is about: relationship status. It is complicated. Like OMG, it's complicated. I didn't even know that there was a such thing, but it is, right?
Yeah.
We discuss that. But before we do that, make sure that you're subscribing, you're saying something, and you're sharing, because sharing is caring. We really, really want to make sure that you're sharing. If you're looking at us right now, click the share button, do a watch party, do something, but make sure that you're getting us out there. Help us, because apparently if you keep showing up every week, that means you like what we're doing. Share with somebody else so that they can also like what we're doing.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, so let's look at what's in the news. So this whole thing that my coach, my co-host has let on. Y'all heard about this thing with Miss what's her name? Man?
Lisa
Ray. I can't think of her name. With Lisa Ray and Halle Berry.
Yeah.
What is up with that, y'all? Let me pull this up. Hold on.
That's wild.
It's really unbelievable, because it's like we really have to stop. And these things like this is what gets us in the place that we're in, where we're not respecting each other. And when you see something like this, where Lisa Ray is calling out Halle Berry about why she's not in relationships, is your relationship complicated? Is that why she's calling her out? What do you think? What do you think was the cause of her doing this?
Oh man, I would like the audience's input on this too, what they think about this. But I think that's you got to be coming from first of all, let me say that's a very disrespectful statement.
Yeah.
How do you know that that her sex is whack.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, how do you know? But even if you did know, let's just say the dudes from that she had been in relationships with previously, the Hallie's exes, maybe Hallie's exes have said something to Lisa Ray. Even if they did, man, that's reckless as hell to come out publicly like that and to say something, to say something like that. I think it's disrespectful and reckless as hell.
Yeah. And and again, to your note earlier, I really think that it has something to do with her own insecurities. When you start doing things like this, and you got to go on social media or in the public, in media, period, to blast another woman about her relationships. Now, did she get caught with one of Lisa Ray's dudes? Is that what happened?
Hey, ain't no telling,
Yeah.
But to the point of the conversation, everybody likes to have good sex, right? But if chances are pretty good that that's not the reason, or at least the main or the only reason why Halle Berry's relationships fail.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons that relationships are so complicated is because we have misunderstandings of what's required to maintain healthy relationships. So Lisa Ray is thinking that, well, it sounds like, according to this post anyway, that Lisa Ray is thinking that, bad sex is the reason that Halle Berry can't keep a good man. But there are women out here who are great in bed and can't keep a good man. There are guys out here who are reportedly great in bed and they can't keep a woman. So there has to be much more brought to the table than just great sex in order to maintain a relationship. Now, it will prolong the inevitable. If the sex is good enough, it might take you a while to, come to grips with the term that the relationship needs to be ended if there are other things missing. But definitely more required to maintain a good relationship than just good sex. Shout out to Yardley Bond from Brunswick, Georgia.
Hello, Yardley. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Y'all let us know who's watching.
David Grant, shout out to David Grant, Sakoni Prince, Robert Lee. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
So I want to take this down because I'm tired of looking at it, but this really lends then to the shallowness or the lack of depth for the men that if, Lisa Ray, that these men too, like there's no depth to them. So when you look at that, it not being any depth to them and all they're saying is, well, I left her because she don't have good sex. Then you have to look at them and go, well, who are you? And what gave you the reign or the king crown to say, right? So then she needs to be looking at them, because if a man came to me and said that about a lady to me, I would be looking at him. I would be looking at her. I'll be thinking, dude, really?
Yeah.
This is what we're doing? Because what type of real man would say that out of his mouth? At this, they're not 20. We're not 20.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she's bringing it out and we in our 50s, you're talking to a grown man. And if a grown man said that to me about some other girl, some other woman, I'll be looking at him side-eyed, not her.
Yep. And there are a lot of misunderstandings. Like there are a lot of I remember when I was a young man, and there was an elder who told me. Now this was an elder that I should have been able to hold in high regard, but he told me even then that women were only for sex. Yeah.
What kind of? Okay.
Yeah, and so that's a common sentiment, and so I remember even listening to, I was big on Biggie Smalls when I was a young man, and I remember this song they had. It was called "The World Is Filled," and the chorus was like, "The world is filled with pimps and hoes," and so the chorus goes on, and then when Puffy started rapping, he said something that I thought was pretty interesting. He said, "See, we date them like we hate them, treat them like we don't need them, and never give them freedom," or something like that. And something like that. He went on and talking about, what getting girls to do girls and all. So we got a lot of poison from our environment that goes into our ideas about what relationships are, what sex is, the use for. So our culture, our music, the things that entertain us have conditioned us to the point where we don't even know how to serve each other in a way that benefits both of us.
Absolutely. And it leads us into this relationship, it's complicated status, which is kind of this purgatory of relationships.
Yeah.
This status that you can't say that you're up, you're down, we're together, we're not. Are we friends with benefits? We don't know. We're together today, but not tomorrow. And everybody around us is looking, for those people who are in those relationships, it's complicated statuses, trying to figure out what the heck is really going on.
Yep.
So it causes a distraction, even in the people that you are around, because they're trying to figure out, do we bring them into our circle, for those who are in relationships and they're trying to figure out that one party who is in a complicated relationship, do we bring them a part of our crew? Or for those who are married and they have that situation, because we don't want to get attached to this person that you're in a complicated relationship status with, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Right.
So people do not realize that when you're in that type of relationship status, it doesn't just affect the people that are involved. It affects everybody else that's involved in your life. Yep. Now, if you got that situation where, well, it wouldn't even be known that it was complicated if nobody else knows about them.
Right.
So we got some comments. Derek Jackson says, it's not hard work, it's hard work. Lisa Ray has no room to talk. Hallie could just be crazy as hell. I'm gonna go with that.
That's the word on the street.
That's the word on the street, that she is crazy.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely.
Yeah.
And then thank you, Joyce. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Joyce says, so true. So go ahead. What were you about to say?
Ironically, like Derek just said, that she could be crazy as hell. Ironically, they say that crazy women have the best sex.
I've heard that statement.
Yeah. Well,
I've heard that statement about men too.
Yeah. And it might be true. I mean, because they're compensating for what they lack in other areas. Who knows? Maybe they have an extra gear for entertaining you sexually because they lack in so many other areas. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Or how about this? Because if you're crazy as hell, you are really just uninhibited.
Right. That's
so you gonna do some of everything.
Yep. So chances are then, if that mantra is true, then maybe Halle Berry is outstanding, but outstanding in the bed, but the fact that she's crazy as hell, that might be the disconnect.
Right.
Bomb in the bed, but a bomb outside the bed too.
Right. And Lisa Ray just mad because she needs to go sit down somewhere. She don't even look like herself anymore.
Nah.
She needs to set it down somewhere. Anyway, so listen, this whole relationship is complicated status. For you all that's watching us, have you ever been in an complicated relationship status? I've been there. It's a complicated, you're trying to figure out what you're doing. You don't know if you're together. People around you don't know if you're together, but you kind of haven't put a label on it because you are really in a place where you're unsure about each other. You're unsure if you want to settle down. You're unsure if you want to settle down with this person. And you're unsure if this person is going to fit into your life the way that you really want them to fit in. Yeah. So instead of you saying that, because you're being greedy, you're trying to hold on to something that you're not really certain about, right? But you want to just, hold on. What do you think? What do you think about that? I can't ask you if you've been in this complicated relationship because you've been married too long.
Look, there was a time where, first of all, let me get to these comments before we move on, because I thought Sharia Williams says, well, I'm not crazy. So I guess she's saying that she the bomb.
All right.
Despite not being crazy. Derek said, I'm gonna need you to stop saying my whole government like that. You don't want you saying your whole name.
I know you was D Jackson over on YouTube.
Yardley Bond says it's true that crazy women have the best sex. And Lady Joyce says, I'm not crazy either. So everybody out here got that bomb diggity.
Apparently.
But they on the level. Ayana Bay says they say Hallie isn't compliant with her diabetes medicine regimen, or she wasn't, which leads to a lot of mood swings. Okay, that could be why she. Yeah, it could be why she.
That could be, but it's a whole bunch of people out here that's not complying with their diabetes medicine.
Yeah, but I guess
she is crazy.
Yeah.
I would tell y'all why I think she crazy, but then y'all might not like me no more.
No, go ahead. Spit it out.
That's my secret. I'm gonna hold on to why I believe she crazy.
You know, I gotta know off camera. You gotta tell me later.
I'll tell you off camera, but I ain't telling people on there. They might not talk to me no more.
Yeah. Peace, Brother James. Brother James Gifford joins us. So peace, Brother James.
Hey, Brother James, how you doing?
Ayana Bay says, I was trying to help, laughing but serious.
No, you couldn't help her. She crazy. We all know. We've seen it.
Yeah, Joy says, I'm diabetic and I'm not crazy either. Tell us, sis.
Right. Exactly. That's
so,
all I'm saying.
To the question that you asked me, there was a time when my marriage was complicated.
Okay.
So even people in marriages can be complicated. You have plenty of people walking around here talking about they're separated and starting new relationships in the name of that old relationship being on the fritz or about to end or whatever. So even married people can have complicated relationships. Like I said, mine was very complicated. There were times where we were talking divorce.
Okay.
We never went and saw an attorney, but we were definitely having serious talks about it. Well, it's just that it was always one at a time. You know, when I would talk about wanting a divorce, she was like, hell no, you ain't going nowhere.
Right.
and then when she would talk about divorce, I'm like, hell no, you ain't going nowhere.
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah.
Now when you put it that way, okay, so yeah, I can see that because I've also been approached with those types of complications that have wanted to be complicated, and I'm not for it. I'm not being in a complicated relationship. Relationships in themselves are already complicated. So you want me to walk in the door knowing I'm going to be in a complicated relationship? For what? What's the point in that?
Yeah.
I'm just not doing that. I mean, now it's a whole bunch of people who are willing. So, that will give you what you want, will be the side chick and be that girl that you call them when you're bored, when you're lonely or whatever. I just happen to not be her.
Yeah.
So Ayana says how complicated comes when I don't want them anymore and they want to stay. All right, Ayana. She over there. She over there got them. No, don't leave me.
Yeah, she got them broke down.
He says, I believe it's complicated statuses comes from the lack of proper vetting and standing firm on your principles when it comes to relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was dead on, Yardley. I just told a client a few days ago, if you do not walk in the door, and see, a lot of people are not willing to do this because they think it's remedial, but I'm serious. I don't care how old you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. Sit down with yourself for a minimum of 30 minutes and just write down your standards. After you write them all, just write them. Don't label them. Go through them and then talk about what your must-haves are and what you're flexible on. Take your must-haves, drop down the top 10. And if they don't meet 8 of the top 10, don't give them the time of day because you're settling. And even though it may look good or maybe fun a little bit in the beginning of you like, well, okay, well, I can deal with this. No. Don't, because it's so easy to get caught up in the complication of it, into the whole thing, and you'll look up and you'll be like, wait, he only had 3 of them. You should have not even gave him the time of day. Don't talk to him.
And I'll add to that, be careful with those lists, and I know that women are notorious for having lists, And again, I refer back to a sister named Rebecca Lynn Pope. She's a matchmaker, or was a matchmaker. Now she's just she just talks about relationships. But she stopped matchmaking because she said that women's expectations were so unrealistic that it was very discouraging for her. So she just quit the whole business of it. So I'm saying, make sure that even when you have your list of negotiables and non-negotiables, make sure that your non-negotiables are realistic, because oftentimes we show up to the relationship with our list of must-haves or whatever, but we don't know we're not willing to, how do I say it? There are a lot of people who don't understand what the opposite sex wants from them. So there are women out here saying, I want a man with, who makes $150,000 a year or more or whatever. He needs to be 6'3". He needs to be whatever. And then on the other side, there are men who saying, I want a woman who has this, that, and the third. But we don't stop to evaluate why they would want us. Like, what is it that they might want from me? And am I capable of supplying that to the relationship so that, they would be intrigued or enticed to want to go forward with me?
For one thing, if you have, I want him to be 6'2", he has to make $150,000. He needs to be driving this or driving that on your list, on your standards list. You should trash that list today. Yeah. Your list, as Ayana has says, it should be character based. Yeah. It should be how kind he is, how he treats other people, how he treats his mother, how he treats his sisters and his brother, how he speaks to other people. What does he feel? What is his mindset on owing money? Is he looking to build legacy, or is he just trying to live adventurously? Those are the things that you should have on your list. It should not be about anything that is tangible. They should all be intangibles. They should be nothing that you can put your fingers on. Because when you start to do that, if you lost it all, this is one of the things I give to my couples when they're doing premarital coaching. I ask them the questions that the Lifetime movies don't talk about, because most of us go, well, yeah, for better or for worse. Of course, if my husband lost his job, I would be there. Of course, if my wife was in the hospital and she was in a car accident, I would be there. Yes, you would be there. But would you be there if he lost his job and a year later he's sitting on the couch eating bonbons while you just came in from a 12-hour shift and he's looking at you with the house a mess? Would you still be there? Would you be there if that woman who got in the car accident is now a paraplegic, and every time you walk in the door, she throws something at you and cussing you out because she's mad that you get to walk and she doesn't? Would you be there when that person's character starts to break down? Because that other stuff can be taken away at the second blink of an eye. So his money, his car, what he looks like, we get old, we get gray, we get fat, all those things should not be a part of your list. And if they are a part of your list, get rid of the list quick, fast, and in a hurry.
So are you saying looks shouldn't matter?
I'm not saying that you should not be attracted to the person that you're talking to. Because if your standards list is really a real standards list, those things should attract you. Yes, you're going to be like, oh, he's nice looking. Oh, he's okay. I don't want nobody that I can't look at. That's for real. Right. But I'm not sitting here going, oh, he got to look like this and that. But if he butt ugly, then I'm probably not going to talk to him. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah.
But on top of that, something has to attract me to him. And I have been known in my past, as a matter of fact, the dude that before I started my little abstinence journey, he wasn't cute at all. But the things that he said, me watching his character, all of those things that he put front up, because it was, he fronted that stuff. But his representative showed up real well. And that's what made me attracted to him.
I'll tell you how I ended up getting with my wife and deciding that she was marriage material. I closed my eyes and I grabbed her wrist. And I knew she was the girl for me. Like Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
Once that wrist was all right, I knew the rest was on point. So
At 12 years old, her wrist wasn't bigger than this. You know how small how
yeah,
skinny we was back in the day.
yeah.
So, Ayana also says a friend of mine is in a complicated situation because he believes he's in love with two women. I don't believe in that personally. So are you saying that you don't believe that a man or a person can be in love with two people at the same time? Is that what you're saying, Ayana?
See, now what do you think about that?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, me too. I do too.
I do. I think that a person can be in love with two different people at the same time.
It's a lot of heavy lifting.
Man, you crazy.
And that typifies the idea of it's complicated.
That makes it very complicated.
And we could talk about polygamy and all of that stuff, but I don't think that our culture here, particularly here in America, I don't think that with all of the conditioning that we've had, even if you want to say that at some point in time or in some other cultures outside of America, even if you want to say that they practiced healthy polygamy, healthy forms or versions of polygamy, I don't think that we're capable of that here because we've been so poisoned for the most part with lust and basically satisfying the flesh that I don't think we're capable of doing it here in a healthy way.
Not for the purpose in which it's, because there is a purpose in that. There was a purpose for our ancestors to have multiple wives. The purpose of to be fruitful and multiply. It wasn't for let me go on down to the cigar bar and tell dude how many girls I got at home. It wasn't for that. It wasn't for, well, let me watch my two wives get together and that just makes me feel good. It wasn't for that. And because we don't understand the real purpose and what that is, we will never be able to function in that capacity at all, not in Western civilization.
Yeah.
Because people be fighting, and I watched those shows before.
I got a question from Brother James. He says, if this person doesn't measure up to the standards we've set upon meeting them, do we just excuse them and move on? Or should we give them an opportunity to measure up and change? Coach, you say bye.
Bye. Let me tell you something, James, Brother James. People don't change, situations do. So if the situation that you're in or that person is in with that person that doesn't measure up to their standards, that person is the person that they're seeing because of that situation. Now you could possibly put them in a whole nother situation and they'd be a totally different person, but they showed up to you based off of what you allowed them to show up as. Because I have, and this is why, and this is the main reason why you have women who say things like, well, I've invested too much time. That's why I ain't going away, because he is not about to be that man for somebody else. But he's not going to be that different man for you. You have who you're going to get. He can take his lessons, take them to another woman, and have figured them things out and gonna work them things out really good with her. But who you got is who you gonna have.
I can smoke a bag of that if I smoke.
Right. Now, if we talking about things like, oh, well, he's an alcoholic, she's a cokehead, things like that.
Hey, look, I always say you could be in a relationship with a crackhead and you can have a strong bond as long as you're a crackhead too.
Right.
You can make it work if both of y'all are crackheads, but if one of y'all are crackhead, or whatever the thing is, if one of y'all are, heavy into religion and the other one is not, that's going to be really hard. Anything that one of you is into, if the other one doesn't at least show some sort of leaning or compliance with that, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be very hard. You have to be equally yoked. That is very important, and a lot of people do not go for that. They tend to go to the mantra that opposites attract, and that is true to an extent, but not in your core values.
Yeah,
not in your core values.
So let me ask you this question. I want to ask the audience this question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You want to read that?
Yeah. It's very, Joyce says, it's very important to see and know how a significant other interacts with their loved ones. Had I known in the beginning of my domestic violence relationship that he referred to women to include his own daughters as the B word, I would have ran the other way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yep. Yep. When they show you who you are, you got to believe them.
Believe him the first time.
If a man will refer to his own daughter in that way, then man, stand by. I mean, there are few things more precious to a man than his daughter.
Yeah.
So, or more valuable, or whatever words you want to put on it. And then I would even say, close to that would be his mother.
Yeah.
Now there are a lot of mother-son relationships that are strained for various reasons, but when a man has that type of disconnect from his daughter, especially when she's young, a child, man, that's rough. Brother James says, I asked the question because I was a mess upon getting my wife, but I knew that she was the one for me. So I found out what she was looking for in a man, and I changed to keep her. Man, look at God.
And but you know what? You changed. So in the initial conversation, it's if they don't meet your standards, do you give them the chance? That person has to know that they have to do that for themselves. And they have to come in knowing that, you know what, I'm messed up. Yeah. And I'm not really where you really want me to be based off of what you're asking for. Would you give me an opportunity? But my thing is to say to the person with the standards that they're not meeting, give them the opportunity to get themselves together. And if they really want you, they'll come back for you. How the saying go? Let them go. If they really for you, then they'll come back. Let them go and get themselves together. But don't try to fix them in the situation, because that won't work.
Let me add to that too. What Brother James is talking about. That's a similar thing that I experienced too. The only way my marriage was going to last was if I changed. Mm-hmm. If I wouldn't have, and I mean, man, you can talk to my wife about that. And I don't know if I call it a complete 180, but I changed drastically, and that was the only way for our marriage to survive. But I think here's the caveat: the younger a person is, when you're looking for them to make these types of changes, the more likely, they are to be willing to make that kind of change, or even accepting of the idea that they should change. When you're talking about 40, 50-year-old people, the older they get, the more cemented in their ways they become. And so I think it's a lot more challenging for older people to make wholesale types of changes that I think Brother James and the types of changes that I'm talking about.
Absolutely. When that man is in his boy stage, he is susceptible to a lot of different things. He's open to a lot of different things. When he gets into that adolescence, now he's adventurous. He's trying to figure out life. He's trying to figure those things out. When he goes into that young man stage, now he is looking around, trying to figure out how he can build. What can I do to get to the place that I really want to go in? When he gets to manhood and he is a man, he ain't changing. He is who he is. You can't do it. You're not going to be able to do nothing about it. But around that adolescence, young man in the building stage, he's moldable.
Yeah. Chances go down considerably. Brother James said she gave me a chance because she had a daughter and didn't have time for games. And she told me that up front. And that's what's up. And here's what I say to that too. There are some women who can inspire the type of change in a man that Brother James is talking about and what I'm talking about. So there are some women who just, for whatever reason, their chemistry doesn't align, and he's not afraid to lose her, or I won't say afraid, but he's not concerned with what it means to move forward in his life without her.
Right.
I didn't want to move forward in my life without my wife. And so I thought that she brought enough value to my life where I didn't want to go out there and try to replace what I already had. And so I think that for those women who think that they can change, or not even women, for those people who think that they might be in a position to change someone, you got to be able to determine whether or not you think they hold you in high enough regard that they're inspired enough to change because what it means to move forward without you is less appealing than what it means to make the necessary changes to keep you.
Right. It's a saying that says it's not about who you can live with. It's about who you can live with, who you can't live without.
Yeah, or at least don't live without.
Right. And so a lot of people, I love this. I'm telling you, this movie with Katharine Hepburn, I love its love affair. I love that saying when she says, it's not about getting what you want, but wanting it after you've gotten it.
Mm.
And that's really counting the cost, knowing what it really is going to take to make sure that you are doing what's necessary to get that person to decide and see your value without you being this person that's trying to be controlling. Because you shouldn't have to control somebody for them to see your value and to say, hey, I'm willing to change for this person, but it has to be their idea. It can't be because you convincing them to do it.
Yeah, that's real rap. Ayana Bay says 100. Lady Joy says, great show, y'all. I think the topic is needed and I will finish watching on the replay. All right, all right. You know,
Okay.
to the point that you just made too, you know, there are people that come into our lives that we meet that we might start a relationship with, and everything seems good on the surface or up front when we get together. But they, you know, as we get to know each other, as we get to know each other, things, you know, we get to finding out, learning these people, and they come with their own sets of desires, you know, to the table. And so and even needs. So like I'll use my wife as an example. When we got together, my wife was very, very sensitive. She's just a very sensitive person. Now, to me, I had a problem with that. I have a tendency to be very impulsive and even brash. And so keeping her, or at least maintaining some semblance of harmony in our relationship, meant that I had to be a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more filtered about what I allowed to come out of my mouth in my interaction with her. You see, and so it's learning who you're dealing with and learning what it is that they need from you as well. You got Brother James here. He says, it was a slow process. She kept me at arm's length for a while until I showed her, or she was satisfied. Yeah. Yep.
Smart. Said, Brother James, if she does not fit, she must exit.
Yeah.
How you gonna just give up on the girl, Yardley?
Man, look, there was every now and then I watch these old movies. My wife grew up watching these old movies that I never watched until well into I just watched for the first time in my life, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and it's a movie. It looks like it was casted for the 20s or the 1930s or whatever. And he went. This guy who lived up in the hills, he decided to go down in town to find himself a wife. So like you would go shopping for a bag of potatoes or some feed for the horses. He went down in town looking for a wife. And so they have this song around the idea. I should have told you so we could have queued it up.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that next time. But he was very specific about what he needed in a woman, what he wanted in a woman. And he found this woman who measured up in all these different ways. And what was intriguing about it was, here's what I'm saying about that. I think the more specific you are in what you want, the more measurable these things become. And so there are some of these, like you were saying, these non-negotiables. With the lifestyle that he lived up in these mountains, he had 7 brothers, and he wanted this one woman to come up there and cater basically to him and his 7 brothers. And so he needed a woman that had a very strong work ethic and all these other things. So and he found her. Now, of course, she didn't realize what she was getting into until she went up there and saw that, oh man, it's not just you, but there's 6 other men that I have to
take care of,
or whatever. But again, I guess the reason that I'm mentioning that is because even though she didn't know, he was very specific, and his what he wanted in the woman was very measurable. And then she had to then in turn decide if she could supply what it was that he was asking for.
And that goes into kind of picking back into what you said earlier about your wife being sensitive. When we don't know the value in the traits that are in our partners, because one, we're too busy being self-centered and we're not concerned about them up front. We're not going into the relationship with purpose, knowing that this is my goal, my end goal, and I need to have, like the gentleman with the seven brothers or six brothers. He had a purpose. He knew at the end this is what he needed. Yeah. When you don't have those things, you don't see the benefit, because the benefit of your wife being sensitive is that she is sensitive. Most sensitive women are sensitive in the spirit. They can see some things, they can discern some things, they know what's going to work and what's not going to work. They can help you save some money, they can help you make some money. That becomes a help meet. Do you hear me? Yeah. And if people do not understand the value, like you said earlier, of the person's, even their initially not so initial character traits, you're like, oh, that bothers me. But no, find out what the value of that is, because there's so much that can be seen in that. So even going back to Brother James's statement about, do you give them the chance? Find out what their character is, because somebody being immature or doing some stupid stuff, because we all do stupid stuff. If we talking about the character, you know, especially women, we've been given two gifts: the gift of discernment and the gift of persuasion. We use it as being nosy, and we use it as being manipulative. But those are two gifts that we've been given by the Heavenly Father. And if you know how to use those gifts, you can see past the crap.
You know, to that point, my wife was very sensitive, but she was also that. You know, that bothered me. That bothered the hell out of me, right? And I'm just like, man, I can't even say what I need to say without you getting offended, right? But the other side to that is that she was very in tune with what it was that I needed from her. Yep. So I'm saying that to say nothing comes with just one side. Like there's a duality to everything. So right. Even though she was very sensitive, and I didn't necessarily appreciate that, that heightened sensitivity allowed her to be sensitive to what it was that I needed from her. And so I'm able to get the type, like, I don't even have to ask for, is that you or me?
Facebook, I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Really?
Messenger.
I'm sorry, let me close it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just saying, so that heightened sensitivity allows her to be very intuitive. And so
right.
There are things that she knows that I need even before I even mention it to her.
Right.
And then not only that, but she's willing to cater to that. So, and now here's the other side to that. At some point, so there's this phrase that this saying that says, givers have to set limits because takers rarely do. Right? Givers have to set limits because takers rarely do. Now, I say that to say my wife is the consummate giver and I was the consummate taker. Right? I've always been very self-first, very self-centered, and I had to grow to a point where, look, she was a giver, and so, but even givers get tired of giving. And so if at some point she doesn't realize some sort of return on that investment of continuing to give, right, continuing to pour into me, if I don't learn how to be reciprocal in that, then she's going to get tired. She's going to get burned out. And then I lose the very thing that makes her so valuable to the relationship.
You are absolutely right. The worst thing that you ever want to do is deplete a giver.
Yeah. Oh,
that is like, that's almost like, that's like an abomination to I swear, that's the worst thing that you ever want to do. When you deplete a giver, you have, because we give. So, I mean, we'll give to theirs like drops and we'll still be trying to cut the drop open.
Yeah.
Just give some more and just, well, let me just make it. We just keep giving until we are just have nothing else. But when they deplete it and they have nothing else to give, that's the worst thing. Yeah. So it's a blessing that you were able to get yourself together.
You know, I ain't never been
Brother
super.
James, right? You went crazy.
I
No,
was never super stupid. I was always, a little sluggish in the mind, but I
right,
wasn't never super stupid.
right. So I mean, that's the thing. We have to really be careful. But see, that goes into, I think that we really have to pay attention to what we really want in a relationship up front. And don't try to fool yourself into believing that it's something else that you want or something that you're willing to accept just because you're lonely, just because you tired of going through stuff, or you feel like, because I even had somebody to tell me, a potential client, he reached out to me and she was like, well, maybe I'm just too hard. I said, well, what do you mean you're too hard? And she said, well, I have these standards, and maybe I'm just too stuck on them. So I began to ask her what those standards are, and they were all character based. And she felt like she should just start cutting them down because she couldn't meet the dudes. And I said, this is the thing. If these dudes that keep coming to you, they can't meet your character based standards, don't cut your standards because you feel like they're not standing up to them. Let them go, because they're making room for the person that's supposed to be there.
Yeah, for sure. They're, at the very least, they're blocking.
Blocking.
The right person can see you with them, and because you're just trying to occupy space, you running the right people off.
Gone.
Here's the last point I want to make about when you're in a relationship with a giver.
Is there still Cheryl said there's an echo. Is it still an echo?
I don't know. I can't hear it.
I can't either.
Y'all still hear the echo? Make sure all your devices are turned down, Michelle.
Yeah, it's on vibrate, but I don't have anything on. I even closed Facebook.
Yeah. But I grew up in a time where taking advantage of a person's giving spirit, it was almost like, man, she'll do anything for me. She's stupid. Or you'll hear women say, or girls say, oh, he'll do anything for me. He's stupid. I can get my nails done. They get so attached to what they can extract from the person that they fail to appreciate the accommodating spirit that person is coming to the relationship with, and to find someone who's willing to cooperate with you on a high level in a relationship, man, that's pure gold. But we're conditioned to, she says, yes, it's still there.
Still there, she said. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't have anything open.
I don't know. Can the rest of y'all hear the echo too? I don't know if that's just on your end. That's my lovely mother.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just heard it just now.
Oh yeah, I can't hear it. I don't know.
Let's see.
Close out of Facebook. Maybe it's me. How about now? Is it still there?
Let me see. I heard it. I hear it. It's I'm hearing the end of it. So we might not get a good, hopefully we get a good sound for our podcast. Ayana says it comes and goes.
Yeah.
So not sure.
It'll come through clean on the podcast though, because we can't hear it here. Or at least I can't hear it on this end. But and Wright Jr., Raymond Wright, says he can't hear it.
Let me see if it's better this way. No. Ain't that the truth? It's very minor, she says. Portia says. It's a little echo. She says it's very minor.
Well, let's keep it moving.
Okay.
Yeah. But
sorry, y'all.
I want to cap that point off by saying this. If you're in a relationship with a giver, you have to keep them feeling good about their spirit of giving, particularly to you. Now, one thing about me being self first, I don't like to say selfish, but self first, self-centered, maybe whatever you want to call it. I like preserving the things in my life that are good to me and good for me. And I realized at some point in my marriage that her having that giving spirit, especially when it came to me, that her having that good spirit, that giving spirit was a good thing. And so I learned how to pour back into her at a level where she continues to feel good about giving to me.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all self-motivated because I am, self-first, self-centered, whatever. I don't care about none of that. She feels good about giving to me, so it's all good. It's all good.
But see, that's how it should be in relationships. If we're all giving, then nobody's lacking.
That's right.
If all I'm doing is giving, and he's giving, everybody's receiving.
Yep.
But we're so busy. Oh, I gotta sneeze. That's gone.
That ain't Rona, is it?
And you say what?
It ain't Rona, is it?
No, I ain't got no Rona, man. I'm like, and then it gone. But if we're so busy worrying about what I can get and the other person's worried about what they can get, then nobody's receiving anything and we're wasting time. So if you just give as much as you can and they give as much as they can, then we're gonna always receive. Nobody's gonna be without. But we're so busy, like you said, everybody's out for themselves. They're only thinking about what they can get versus how they can pour into somebody. Because like you said, whether it's selfish or not, you're thinking, shoot, I'm gonna keep giving to her because that means she's gonna get at me.
Yeah, and maybe she's not even watching this show, so maybe she don't know that's why I give the way I give to her. But I don't care. It's a win for the team.
It's a win. Everybody's winning, and if that's what it takes, we should win. But we do it with everything else in our lives. You go to the store, you give them cash, they give you products. You go to the car lot, you give them cash, they give you a car. You go to a house. Buy a house, you give them a mortgage, they give you the house. So it's nobody's just sitting there going, well, I'm just receive how much I can, because it's gonna run out. It's kind of like these schemes going around where these people getting money and they think that it's gonna keep. So you just got to give $50 and you're gonna get $3,000 at the end of the month. Yeah. Where do you do that at?
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose.
That money gonna run out.
So here's a question that I have for y'all. This is for you and for the audience, and maybe this is a different show. I don't know. But the question that I have is, can a man live his best life without a woman? And can a woman live her best life without a man? So the general question is, can a man and woman live their best life? And everybody's talking about, I'm living my best life. Can we live our best life without the harmonious relating of our masculine or feminine counterpart? And again, now, look, I know that we can go out here as a single person and we can have a ball. I'm not saying we can't have fun. I'm not saying that we can't still enjoy life. My question is, look, good, better, best. They're categories, right? Can a man or woman live their best life without being harmoniously complemented in a relationship?
No. Ayana said, this is no. No, not heterosexual individuals. That's true.
All right. I say no too, personally.
I say no. Yarly say yes. How, Yarly?
Explain that, bruh. Explain that.
Explain it. What she say? She said, I don't think so. We were made for relationship. Exactly.
Yeah.
We were not made to be by ourselves.
Look, the very purpose for a relationship is to heighten the human experience. That is the sole purpose. Now, the problem is, because we abuse relationships, we don't tend to get that heightened experience. Many of us don't know how to do that. That's why you and I are here, right? Doing what we do. But the very purpose for the human interaction is to heighten the human experience. His first lady says, yes, they can live the best life they can without reaching their full potential. Now, see, you just threw that caveat in there, reaching that without living their full potential. They need a partner to reach their full potential. Well, again, if you need a partner to reach your full potential, that is by definition your best
life.
So then your answer, really, it sounds like your answer would really be no. You can have fun without having a partner. You can live a good life, but can you live your best life? That's what I'm saying.
Now, when he has the levels of good or okay, good, and best.
Right.
Because best would be your fullest potential.
Right. Like even when you go in and buy tires, I went to Tire Rack a few months ago and they said, look, this is a good tire. This is a better tire. This is the bestest tire,
Right.
right? You got to spend a little more coin to get that best tire. You got to make a heavier investment to get that best tire. But ultimately, the best performance or the best life in this context is going to be with the best version of what they're having to offer. And I say that the best version of life that this planet has to offer us is through complementary relationships. Brother James says definitely no, and I wouldn't want to.
Right. And I know that a lot of people do not like Steve Harvey. I happen to like him because his life looks a lot like mine, right? Okay, that's why. Let's put that out there. I like Steve Harvey, okay? So, so I know a lot of people don't like Steve Harvey, but I'm gonna tell you, he said this. He said that a man can be a good man, but he's not a great man until he finds a woman.
Look, I think, hold on, you got a couple more comments. Sherlyn says, you can live a good life, but not a great life.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, she says, you can live a good life, but not a great life because we need each other. Two heads are better than one. I co-sign that. Yardley says, no relationship problems with crazy women, no child support, no divorce, and more money. Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to go here, Yardley.
Go ahead.
Tell me where that money gonna be at night.
Look, y'all know where I get my relationship advice from. You know, they call me the Love Alchemist, but the secret is, I get my relationship advice from Animal
Planet.
And I ain't shame about it. That's my secret. I let the cat out the bag. But listen, I have never seen a male lion, that wasn't on the prowl to be complimented by his feminine counterpart. Like, I've seen young male lions healthy, and they're roaming the pride lands in search of one thing. They want to be complimented. They want to be in a complementary union with his feminine counterpart. And you see the same thing with elephants. You see the same things with rhinoceros. All male animals, every male species, ain't none of them out there at the club just kicking it with other male lions. You know, ain't no club lion out here nowhere. They're all out here looking to live a complementary existence with a feminine counterpart everywhere. And you see the feminine counterpart aligning with that masculine energy for the purpose of also living her best life, or the version of her best life in every scenario. So, except for the Black Widow spider, she actually kills her complement, but she still needs him in order to do the thing that she's purposed to do. What say you, family?
So Yardley says lions have a pride of females and more than one of them. He doesn't sleep with all of them.
Yeah, he does.
He does?
Yeah, they all for the taking. But the point is,
did you just skate past that?
What?
You was like, hey, yeah, they all for taking, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is. They practice polygamy.
But
right?
we can't do that because we don't know how to do that.
But again, the point is that's lion culture.
Yeah.
Right. Our culture isn't the same, but within the context of their highest ideal for their culture, one male lion dominates or it can exist in that pride. Same thing with dogs, right? I breed Doberman, and I can only have one male Doberman on the premises, no matter how many female Doberman I have. You would think that the next Doberman male might show up, and the male Doberman that's here already would say, well, yeah, bro, it's enough for all of us, for both of us. But it don't work that way. There's room for one male. And it's the same thing in masculine, feminine relating, especially in this culture. We're not looking to share. But the highest ideal that we have is in the complementary union. And you know that that's true because you got a lot of pissed off men and women out here who can't seem to get it right. And they got a lot of negative things to say about the opposite sex. Well, if you were living your best life, if you were so happy about being single, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular, so this ain't directed at you, Yardley. This is a larger idea that I'm trying to reach. The point that I'm making is you have a lot of very popular radio personalities, TV personalities, etc., who have tons of followers based on the idea that they despise women, or that they despise men. They got a whole lot of bad things to say about the opposite sex. Well, if you were living your best life, you'd be at peace. You wouldn't be concerned about what they're doing over there. You cool, right?
Right.
But you're not cool. And that's the reason why you're so consumed with disdain for the opposite gender.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, I was about to say what I'll say this and then I'll respond. Sherilyn says, check this out. Man was birthed through the womb of a woman. There is no other way. Some principle through life, a woman helped birth the man in his purpose, into his purpose. Now, what I was getting ready to comment on is similar to that. The problem is that we've lost what the value is on each other, because the first woman, and we, you know, I think me and Vaun kind of go back and forth on this, but according to what I believe, the first woman came out of the chest of a man, was created because of that, right? That's my belief. So, but then, so that's value. That's still value. And then the value of her birthing other men out of her womb is value. We've lost what the value is. We got so many women thinking that because they can make as much money as a man, that they don't need that man. They got men who feel like, well, shoot, I have so many choices that I can choose from. I don't need just one. I'll just go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if I want a Saturday and Sunday, I get her too, but maybe I'll take a rest. Yep. You know, so there's no value in what we both as a male and female bring to the table. And that's because of these whacked out Western cultures through entertainment that we've been sucked into and believe.
You know, to that point, you have this thing has been flipped on its head so bad that you have men showing up to relationships trying to entice women with what women's natural gifts are to entice men. And you have women that are showing up in relationships trying to entice men with the thing that men have been gifted with to entice women. So to your point, like you have women showing up, well, I got my PhD, I make $300,000 a year. And she thinks that that's what's going to lure the right guy. Look, a man who's on his square, a man who's living in his purpose, we ain't concerned about your money. That's your money, right? And so you're not going to attract us with trinkets. That's our job, to attract you. And men should not be out here trying to show off his figure, you know, got these tight pants on, you know, showing his calves and trying to lure women in, you know, that way. Look, and it's not that these things aren't necessarily appealing toward the other. Women like a man with a nice body. I get that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
What really, look, just like you have, like we talked about Halle Berry, you know, not being able to keep a man just because she might be good at sex, or other women who might just be good at sex. Look, there is an energy in a man. You can even say an inner G, right? INNER, energy. You know, but that's a different conversation. But there is an energy that women are attracted to. So even though I might drive a nice car and I might wear nice jewels and I might have, you know, all of these things that I've added to my life, it's not necessarily the cars and the jewels and the clothes that the woman is attracted to. She's much more attracted to the energy that allowed me to accumulate those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. When it's all said and done, and let me give you two scenarios. You laying down in bed, y'all not discussing her degrees. You're not discussing what his car looks like. You're not discussing those types of things. And when you get old and those things go out of style, because that degree that you got 20, 30 years ago ain't gonna matter when y'all sitting at 93 years old, right? When and his body gonna go somewhere else. So we have to really be cognizant of what we're really wanting long term. And most people don't go into the relationships thinking that. And then just so that clear that I understand women go into these relationships and try to figure that thing out up front. And then men go, why we gotta talk about that right now? But then if you're up front telling this dude that this is what you're looking for long term and he doesn't want to have that conversation, then you should be walking away from that conversation in the first place, because he's not ready.
Yeah.
A lot of times we go, well, I don't want to ask those types of questions initially because he may not know, or he got to get to know me. Well, you may not ask it on the first date, but it should be asked somewhere in the second, third, because let's make sure we're walking in the same street at least.
Yep.
Not he going this way and I'm going that way, because you won't know that. And it's okay as a grown person, I hear the echo now, that we should be willing to say what it is that we want. And so many people are not willing to do that because there's too many choices out here.
Yep.
I can go and buy my own nice car. I'm kind of a car head myself. I like cars that go fast. I like cars to go room, room, room. However, I'm not a guy to say the what's the sound for the car. I can't make the sounds.
Zoom, zoom.
Zoom, zoom. Thank you.
Well, maybe that's Mazda. I don't know. Go ahead.
But I like cars that sound, get that, you get that stuff coming out the exhaust. That make me feel like, ooh, I like that, right?
Yeah.
But I am not looking at a dude to do those types of things. And we need to come together and say, I'm not looking for how many degrees you got or how big your car is. I want to know how we can move forward in this life together. How can we make this life together great? And let's get out of this complicated status, thinking that it's not going to, like, really, you should be in a complicated status at 20. If you're 30 up and you're still in a complicated status, okay, I'll say 35. Problems with that.
Yeah.
Yes, cars with CAN motors. Yes, Shirley.
Ron Johnson says, like a car out of alignment, no good walk together.
Yeah. We got a lot of, let's go back. His first lady, she said, next topic, polygamy.
Yeah,
we might talk about that because there's some stuff going on. We got this one picture going around Facebook with the man and his 2 wives, and everybody was talking about that.
Yeah, but I got a little inside scoop on them. That's a lot of people have Facebook happy relationships. You know what I mean? But behind the scenes, sometimes it's a little bit less than what it appears. So
yeah. Everything on social media ain't true. I keep telling people, stop believing what's on social media.
Nah.
And so I think that we were talking about that's true, agree, bro, but we learned from them. Amen. Alchemist, he lost function in the relationship. Absolutely, his first lady. We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yarley says he doesn't hold no grudge against women, but he absolutely agreed with me. And then women can't birth anything without a man. We need his sperm. We need him. Period. Not just his sperm. We need a sperm to birth people, but we need him to birth vision. We need him to birth purpose. We need each other, period. And we've gotten away from that because we have been told by Western society that we don't.
Yeah, we've been given some very superficial ideas to aspire to. And so, I've seen now this doesn't happen as much with men, but I have seen it, but I see it more prominently with women who will leave the relationship or willing to dissolve a marriage, even though they have children together. So there was a song that Whitney came out with, I believe the children are the future, right? Greatest love of all. If the children are the future, and I believe that they are, then we have part of the relationship needs to be rooted in what's best. What scenario will yield the best outcomes for the children? But we are at such a place now where we're willing to sacrifice the children for our own personal happiness.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that anybody should live in misery. Nobody should live in hell. If your man is beating the hell out of you, or if your woman is beating the hell out of you, because women do it too, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody should thrive, try to stay in those scenarios, but we're dissolving relationships. We're dissolving marriages that have children in them just because we're bored, because they don't excite me anymore. That's asinine. You outgrew that person or whatever. Like that's man. You know what? Earthlings are stupid.
Right. Right, pretty much. It's like, for instance, here we are in the 80s, which is where most of this has started, right? in the 80s and the early 90s when Beyonce started talking about, we had in the 80s, we had, I think, Cyndi Lauper, the girls just want to have fun. And then we had in the 90s where Beyonce talking about independent woman. But then you got to come full circle when Beyonce, man, after she became a billionaire, they didn't talk about this when she was talking about independent woman, because he was chasing her then. But after she became a billionaire and an icon for the world, that he been cheating on her. So the independent Black woman syndrome came through based off of those types of icons or idols that people have followed, all to figure out that they messed up. It's like here everybody up in arms. They dancing through for WAP, right? 2 weeks later, WAP, after she just told you that how she got it, and she got this and got that because of her WAP. All of a sudden, now she about to get divorced. So we're allowing these people that are on our TVs, on our YouTubes, on our phones, in our music, tell us how to deal in our relationships, and their relationships are messed up.
Yep. And they lying to us because Offset put Cardi B on blast talking about, look, in the song she said, I don't cook, I don't clean. He got a video of her sweeping, mopping, cleaning, cooking. So she telling all these young girls, I don't cook, I don't clean, I got that WAP, and that's all it takes, right? But in her real life, she got a baby, she cooking and she cleaning.
Come on.
So these people are being paid to disseminate destructive ideas to us. And many of us are following, we're buying into these ideas, not realizing that it's just acting, man. These people are just like Al Pacino ain't no real gangster. He go home to his wife and kids after his movies, just like you do. So yeah, he did Scarface, say hello to my little friend, right? I mean, he shoots up the world, right? But when they say cut, this man goes home and lives a normal
life.
And too many of us have bought into the TV version of what life is, or the radio version of what life is, at the expense of what real life is.
I mean, even and God rest his soul with what's his name? The Panther. What's his name? I'm not good with names.
Black Panther cat.
Here it is. We're looking at how strong and the things that Wakanda forever and all these things when this man is dying. So we have to really take into account it's entertainment. It's all about money. Yep. And what is going to bring in the most money? Drama.
Look, I was yesterday, me and my wife took a road trip. Yeah,
thank you.
Yesterday, me and my wife took a little road trip. We had to go and buy another puppy, second female. And while we were on the road trip, we had the TV set up for my grandchildren, my grandsons, and they were watching Moana. Right now, this is Disney, and everybody loves Disney. It's for the kids, right? So I'm listening. I'm driving, but I'm paying attention. I'm not caught up in the movie of it all. I'm just kind of listening to what's happening, and we don't realize that a lot of these movies are undermining what it means to have healthy family values. So in this movie, they're teaching, like, it's subtle, but the reality is the whole movie undermines what her father brings to her life. So she's taught, daddy, fathers are supposed to bring a certain fatherly wisdom to the child's life. But the whole movie is rooted in her opposing that, what her father brings to her life. There is no honor of what her father thinks. There is no honor of their cultural values that have sustained them for all these eons. She has a better idea than her father. And not only that, the grandmother supports her countering her father's idea. And the mother even supports her countering her father's idea. But here's the final kicker. It turns out that in the movie, she's right. Right? So not only does she oppose him and undermine him, but the movie has it so that she's actually right. She turns out to be right and her father was wrong. Your children are watching these movies and you don't realize the subtle messages that are being sent to these children to basically counter what it is that
And usurp what
what
the
you're trying.
family function is.
Yeah.
And so Portia says even Disney shows are changing.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Portia, Disney shows been like that from the beginning. Programming, channeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go watch a documentary called Inbox Me, I'll tell you. I forgot the name of it right now.
Well, I tell you this, there's a brother named Lennon Honor who goes in. I mean, this was maybe 10, 15 years ago where I showed my children these breakdowns of the different movies, the subliminal messages that they put in Disney films.
Been doing it from the beginning when they were black and whites.
They've been doing it for a long time, and there's some very, very destructive messaging and imaging that they put in these movies that are entertaining. I still use these quotes, y'all. These ideas that are entertaining your children.
And so what happens when they're doing that? Because most kids, right, they have their favorite show. Like my son, when he was a kid, he watched Nightmare Before Christmas. He watched it religiously. The tape was broken. I had to buy another one. He knew every word, every song. He knew everything in there because he watched it that much. So just think about how that's being programmed in that child's mind, all these subliminal messages that we're trying to figure out. Oh, it's just innocent. It's just Disney. Oh, it's just cartoons. No. It's way more than that. And they're getting it into the generations that are susceptible to it. Why? Because children are like sponges for real. They soak up everything. There's no way for them to go, I don't trust that. What is that? They're not doing that. They're going, oh, more. And we're just allowing that. But because we have not been privy to that, right? We just starting to now, a lot of people are becoming what people call awake. So people are now doing understandable things. But a lot of stuff is geared to break up, disseminate, destroy, oblivion to the family unit. Period.
That term you're looking for. That term you're looking for is called woke.
Yes, thank you. You're awake. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all know I'm a nerd. Get up there.
Hey, you got some comments over there. You want to go into?
So we got I don't know where we start. She's Chadwick Boseman. That's what it was. Every time, I'm not sure what that was about. Even Disney shows are changing. We talked about that. And then, yes, they have All Wicked Productions. Yes, they owned by the same top 5 people. They owned every part of your entertainment is owned by 5 entities, just 5 out of the billions of people. Yeah. And we getting off into some stuff that most people don't know. 5 own them all. Talk about monopolies.
And as this pertains to what's the title again? The relationships is complicated, right? Yes. These are things that complicate relationships. You got little girls watching these Prince Charming movies, not realizing that, this isn't the way that men show up in relationships as your knight in shining armor. Maybe it does happen every now and then. My wife calls me her Prince Charming. But aside from that, everybody can be special like me. I understand. But in all seriousness, no, you're setting children up with these unrealistic expectations, and so they grow old looking for, what they saw in the cartoons. You got a couple more comments.
So she says, yes, y'all are absolutely right. Certain scenes in the shows are really underlying messages that adults notice once they actually take a closer look.
Right.
And she says, and none of them are Black.
Well, they look, they're putting the Black ones in there too. You got the Princess and the Frog. Look, I know all the Disney ones because all these children around my house, but there's always a destructive message. I don't think they ever miss an opportunity to implant a destructive message into the psyche of children. And I know there are a lot of people who are going to look at me like I'm crazy and say that it's just entertainment. But if you think that all these movies and this music out here is just for entertainment, then I got a bridge in Arizona to say.
Yeah, exactly. And can I get half of that? Because I want some of that money.
No, that was my idea. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that.
You know what? You always you be stingy.
Yeah. Hey.
But look, not only in the children, because remember, I talked about the 80s and the 90s, right? Also, these Harlequin romance novels, the Zane novels, all these things are making us feel like we're supposed to have hot butt naked sex all the time, and that's what. Oh, he's gonna pick me up and he's gonna carry me through the room, and I'm gonna be floating, and oh my God, yeah,
and he's gonna slam you
up the women,
slam you up against the wall. You know, now it's all good if it goes right, but if you need stitches, I mean,
I'm telling you, that ain't gonna be cute. Which is why when you were, because we're around the same age, Vaun. So when you were younger, did you ever hear any of the young girls talking about, well, he must love me because he pushed me up against the wall, or he must love me because he slapped me?
They got a song out. I think it was Rihanna. She got a song talking about Love on the Brain is the name of the song. Love on the Brain. Y'all go check that song out. Love on the Brain. And she talks about how it must be love. I'm paraphrasing, but it must be love because of the way he be beating the hell out of her, be kicking her ass.
See,
so look,
that's some foolishness. That's what I'm talking about right there.
And you know how many followers?
Go ahead.
This woman has millions of people that love her music. Must be love on the brain. But despite all of the ass whooping that he's doing, his sex is so good that it must be love.
See, foolishness. And here it is. We need y'all to share. But these people got millions of followers. Yeah. We out here trying to teach the people how to get right.
Hey, Ron corrected me. It's not a bridge in Arizona. It's oceanfront property in Arizona. I stand corrected.
I get some of that oceanfront property.
Yeah.
So she said, yes, Vaun. His first lady said, yes, Vaun. And then Portia says, Mr. Vaun, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then his first lady said, yes, Michelamonè. It's to make a sale. You are right. It is only for money. It's all about money. I promise you. If you cut down all of these things, it's going to end in money. And having marriages together is not, especially in our community, is not going to help those five people. Y'all need to do some. Google is good for a lot of things. Most people are not using it, but you can find some really good information if you go look for it.
Yep.
She said, preach, Miss Michelamonè. Oh, I'm not Mrs., but you know what? Speak that into my life. I receive that in the name of Jesus. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, they covered up our whole face, Yarly. You said the independent Black woman syndrome is the continued onslaught of the Black man, the Black woman, and the Black family. This concept is straight out of the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave. First, get the Black man out the home, criminalize him, devalue him, make him lose hope in his ability to have a family, basically beat him within an inch of his life. Second, uplift the now unprotected Black woman. Give her food, housing, other provisions. Thirdly, sow seeds of mistrust between ... Unless California sinks in the ocean. Oh, it's sinking.
Look, I want to touch on what Yarly just said. He just pointed out something that was pretty important. I think this idea of the independent Black woman. They have elevated Black women at the expense of Black men. Now you got a lot of women out here, a lot of Black women out here who think that, look, I got my master's degree or I got my PhD, I'm making 300,000, 500,000, and I can't find a man on my level. And they doing shows about this. They doing TV shows, CNN or 60 Minute specials about how these women are so accomplished, but they can't find a man on their level. And the only reason that they're giving this type of idea, any type of airplay, any type of shine, is for the sole purpose of sowing more seeds of dissension into the relationship between the black man and the black woman.
Yep.
And so again, yeah, you're independent, but again, you're not here to be an independent piece. You're here to be an interdependent piece, right? We're supposed to have relationships where we rely on one another to reach our highest and best good. So again, I appreciate that comment, because many people don't realize that this phenomenon exists solely to undermine the black family.
All the way, 150,000%. That is the only purpose. Why? Because we chosen. We're the chosen ones. Y'all get that? Y'all trying. I've been trying not to. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay. Anyway, so y'all got to do some research. Do some. They said this. Is what they said. They said what they said when they said you don't want them to know. Put in a book. But see, guess what? Now you ain't even got to go in the book. You can go Google it.
And look, man. Look, it's not about black people don't read. It's ignorant people who
they don't want nothing and don't want better, don't want the truth. Why? Because when you get the truth, you got to be responsible for it, because you can't turn back once you know what you know.
Ignorant people who choose to remain ignorant are the ones who don't read, and that transcends all kinds of racial and ethnic lines. So you got a bunch of white folk out here that don't read, you got a bunch of Hispanics and whatever other demographic you can think about. We all have our share of ignorant people. The problem with it is that since we are the oppressed class, we are the ones who can least afford to be unread and unlearned. So it impacts us on a greater level when we're unlearned.
And then going back to what you said earlier about the women who are having these shows and stuff, like Ayana says, especially 40 plus. You sitting here looking at yourself talking about my eggs about to just, they're getting old. Yeah, because when you were born, woman, at the birth, your eggs were there. So when you become 40, when a man can be 60 and still have babies, you become 40, 45 years old having babies, you have a high complication rate. So now that child can be Down syndrome, all these different things that can happen because your eggs have become old because they've been there your whole life. Yep. When his sperm didn't get to its peak and what it's supposed to be doing until he got to puberty. So he had all that time, and you so busy trying to, I got this and got that. Yeah, but you by yourself and you don't have no children. And your whole bloodline, especially if you're the only child, or you're the female out of no other brothers and sisters, I mean, or you only have sisters, where's that lineage going? It just didn't die because you ain't having no kids, because you too busy. Well, I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna get, and I can do it by myself. All right, go and do it by yourself.
Here's another reason, to your point, that relationships are complicated. You have a lot of men who never even entertain the idea of what it means to live in a purpose or to live on purpose. And so we out here, we just want sex, a lot of us. And so this idea of what it means to find a woman that gives us the best chance to procreate and to produce a child who's strong, like, and there is no species of female on the planet who doesn't seek out the strongest male within their species so that she can give life, she can reproduce a child that gives their genetic pool the best chance for survival.
Right.
Ain't no he cute, she cute, fat booty, nice chest muscles, strong jawline. I mean, all those things are okay too, but who gives my seed, my offspring, the best chance of continuing my legacy in a way that gives honor to my ancestors before me? Like, we ain't thinking about none of that. We just, is he or she good in bed? Do they make a good enough amount of money? And I don't know. It's at the expense. I'm telling you, it's destruction. We got a comment here by Ron Johnson. He says, Deuteronomy 7:6, for you are a holy people of the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people of his own possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. My man. And James Gifford says, phenomenal show. He has to go. Appreciate you for joining us, sir. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. We are, and we don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are, we don't live in our purpose. And because we don't live in our purpose, we're dying.
Yeah. What's purpose? What's that?
What's the purpose?
No. I'm being sarcastic.
Right. Yeah, they're like, what's purpose? Why we gotta do that? Why we just can't have fun?
We just want the new Jordans.
Bunch of fun.
We want them new Jordans. We want them new bundles. We want rims. Like we have been purposed into superficial shit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so the real purpose for being here is convoluted by us being rooted in things that don't bring value ultimately to our lives and ultimately to our race.
Because if people have to really see this and hear this, because we saying this in different ways, hoping that people really get it, right? If I can keep you from coming together to build purposeful people, you have them, you come together to have them, you teach them how to be purposeful. They go find somebody that's purposeful. They then have more purposeful people, and they're creating these legacies of these abundant, purposeful people. Do you know how we would have gotten so quickly back to where we were taken from, to the headship and the thrones and the deities that who we are? We would have gotten back there so quickly. But we're so like the elephant that if you take an elephant, this is how they do in circuses, okay? Take the elephant. They train the elephant this way. They tie him up with a rope and they put him in a place where he's either going to get beat or he's going to be shocked by electricity if he goes outside of this box, right? They do this for so long. He move over, they shock him. No, they beat him. He move over, they shock him and beat him. Eventually, he's going to be like, I'm not going out that box.
Yep.
Then what they do is they take the rope or the chains off and they leave him in the box. Because they know that he has been trained and conditioned not to come outside of the box, because he knows that if I go over this line, I'm going to get beat or shot. This is the same thing that they have done to us. And so people hated when Kanye said, we love being enslaved. I have to admit that I wasn't so how he said it and how he put it out, but I understood the premise behind what he said. The premise was, if you sick and tired of being enslaved, then stop doing slave stuff.
Yeah. They've made slavery, in a sense, they've made it feel good.
Yes.
See, and so when you don't, and I'm not, let's get off of the whole white people, black people thing for a second, and let's just deal with the idea of what the opposition is, right? We're talking about living your best life. And so one, we have to determine what it means to live our best life. And then we have to determine what are those things that are opposition to us living our best life. And let's just call those ideas, even if we don't call them people, right? And so if you don't understand the ideas that threaten you having the opportunity to live your best life, you'll accept those ideas as entertainment. And then you allow those ideas to entertain not only you, but those ideas will entertain your children, ultimately to your detriment. And so you out here not understanding what the hell is wrong with these kids. I can't reach that boy. I don't know what's wrong with that girl. You've been sowing seeds of destruction into their psyche, expecting what they say insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. So Malcolm X said, only a fool would let his enemy educate his children. And we've been sending our children out to what they call the killing fields. This is what the Nation of Islam used to call the American public school system. We call it the killing fields. And we send our children to these schools, and they got to go to school. We ain't trying to homeschool, right? So we send them to work. Because so we can go out here and get a job. We got to make this money so we can live our best life according to the plan that your enemy has given you. And so you're sacrificing your children, even unwittingly, sacrificing your children so that you can live your best life, only to turn around and not recognize your own children when they come home from school.
Yep.
Because they're learning a lot of destructive behaviors in these killing fields. Now,
And
some of us go ahead.
let me give you a pure example for that. When my kids, back in 2003, between 2001, 2005, I was heavy into ministry. I mean, I didn't let my kids listen to certain things. I didn't let them watch certain things. We was at church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I knew where they were at all times. We wasn't spending the night in nobody's house. None of that. But I come home one day, and I tell you, they was kicking this one rap with no music, but they were both rapping it. And how in the world did you get to know every word in this rap song? And I know where you at, know what you're looking at, and all these things. They got it from school.
Yep.
And so if I take the man and to go back to circle back around to what you said about it being a black and white thing, it's not, because we've been taught how to do it to each other. So it's not even about black. It ain't even about the white man against us. It's about the systemic programming that has trickled into our communities that we've allowed to suck into us, into our blood, and we give it out.
Yep.
Just like it's candy. So they don't have to do it to us no more.
We're on autopilot.
We're now doing it to ourselves. And if I take the man out the house, but he's the one that's supposed to be going to get that money, and I can take care of my children and teach them how to do what they need to do, then if I can take that away, make that woman have to work 12 hours a day.
Taking her out of her element. She can't even function the way. Look, Ron Johnson just gave a book recommendation. This is my favorite book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Family.
Y'all, you know what? Don't read that. Listen to it.
There you go. I was just going to say Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Listen to that book. It's free on YouTube.
Free on YouTube.
The book is a phenomenal read, but take the audio version and listen to that book and the conversation that he has. Man, look, the more, I don't know, it just depends on where you are in your life. That'll determine how the book hits you. But when I first came in contact with that book, with where I was in my life, man, that book hit me like a ton of bricks.
Boom.
I share it with people, man, because that's a powerful piece. Appreciate that, Ron. Thank you for sharing that.
And most people don't listen to it because they see the title. But I promise you, as a minister of the gospel, trained, okay, I promise you, when you listen to that, you will hear that stuff did not come, as the saints say, it didn't come from flesh and blood.
Man, that's a heavy piece. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We could probably do a show about that book alone. Because was I the one that told you about that book, or did you know about it already?
I listened to the audio of that book about 6 years ago. Messed. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't get no credit for that one. All right.
No, I'm sorry. That's why I became woke.
Yeah.
I woke up about, let me see, what's this, 2000? Yeah, I woke up about 6 years ago.
Look, here's what I think. Now, and maybe, I don't know. Here's an idea, I think, a healthy measurement of masculinity that I think we need to return to.
Yeah.
Right. Some people might not like me when I say this, but I don't care. I'm gonna say it anyway. I take pride in the fact that my wife does not have to go out and work for somebody else.
Can I get a high five?
Right. I take pride in the fact that there is no other man that determines when my wife can have time off, when she can go on vacation, when she's sick enough to stay home from work. I think one of the problems that we have, and this is, there's some duality to this too. There's a feminine component to this too, but from the masculine component, I think one of the major problems that we have in our relationships or in our community is that we have too many men who don't look like us, who have the authority in the lives of our women, telling them when they can come and go.
Man, you about to jump about this seat.
And so what that does is it undermines the respect factor that your woman is supposed to have toward you. So here's an example of that. Every community, every ethnic group in the United States is the largest employer of their own ethnic group. More Asians employ more Asians than anyone else. Hispanics, Latinos, whatever you want to call them, employ more Latinos, Hispanics than anyone else employs Hispanics and Latinos. White folk employ more white folk than anybody else can employ white folk. The only group that goes outside of themselves for their greatest level of sustenance is Black folk. And the group within the Black demographic that is the largest employed and the most educated is the Black woman. And so this undermines the symbiotic relationship that is supposed to exist between man and woman, because her greatest sustenance doesn't come from us. You see?
So then you are so 100% right. But tell me, what does the Black woman typically? I ain't gonna say all, because I don't want anybody to cut me. Tell me who in her house besides her man?
You said who runs her house?
Who in her house besides her man telling her what to do? The church, the pastor. Pastor told me to say this. Pastor told me to say that. So even though, like Coach Vaun says, that we're not employing, creating wealth and controlling who is in our household. Oh, it's being controlled who is in our household. And that goes by the institution that we call religion. So it's a whole bunch. Yeah, you got to see what is really happening. Because I love the fact that this brother can even see that I'm not about to let nobody tell my woman how long she got to be gone from me.
Nah.
When she can take a vacation with me.
When she's sick enough to stay home. And
let's go to the feminine side of that. I don't want no woman cooking my man's meal. Because they say the best way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So guess who done got to his stomach? All these other people, fast food, women that bring food to the office, all these things that's happening. And you trying to think, well, he's not hungry. What you mean you're not hungry?
Right.
The whole dynamic has created these relationship complications. And we think it's cute by saying we're in a situationship.
But see, this is war. This is what war looks like. And we don't recognize it as war. We just think we out here getting money. But to what end? Right? What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul?
Because you've been in the service, Coach Vaun. Don't they teach the man or the woman, whoever the service person is, there's two things you don't do to your fellow person that you in this service with. You don't kill him and you don't leave him.
Yep.
We're doing that. That's the art of war. The art of war, you do not kill your own man. That can be killing him through your words.
Like Lisa Ray.
You come on. And you don't leave him where you leave him out to die by himself. And that can go with so many different ways. We're not building up. So if you're not building, you're killing. You can't, it's not going to be a middle grade ground in that. If you're not building, you're killing. So we're leaving our people in the field, and leaving them open to susceptibility or vulnerability, as some people, because they hate that word, the vulnerability of being killed or left to die. And so it's so many different things in these relationship. All this has to, y'all, for any of you all stepping in and haven't heard us talk about this entire situation the whole time, please go back and make sure that you're listening to the whole thing, because you might come in and hear us trying to figure out, well, how does this deal with relationship complications? It is the culmination. Has been how we've gotten to these relationship complications. So it all ties in.
Yep. You got a few comments over there.
A lot of comments. So let me see. So Sherilyn says that's the enemy's plan, and we would just pay attention to what he's doing. He is running rapid like a rabbit. Kimberly McCann said the Willie Lynch syndrome. You want to read?
Ayana says, y'all hitting those buttons now. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yardley says public school equals public indoctrination, re-education camp. He says the exact concepts in the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave. Read this book as well. Yeah, that's a solid piece. Shirley Palmer says hands up. I guess giving us praise. We get hitting some more points. Kimberly says I have several copies of that book that I'm giving away, and people are scared to accept it. She's talking about Outwitting the Devil. Regina Rose Johnson says that's deep, Vaun. Yardley says not me. Every time I give someone that book, I never get it back. Kimberly says we don't recognize it as war because we are allowed to choose our weapon.
Woo! Man, you got to have me walk up off this set over here.
Yeah, that's heavy. We don't. That is. Yardley says The Art of War, great book. Read that one as well. Kimberly says I have that one too. Yeah, those are some good pieces.
Yeah.
I guess we need to go ahead and wrap it up. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. Let these good people go home.
The name of the video is called Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
Outwitting the Devil on YouTube.
By Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill.
Right. And the other video that I'm talking about is the document. It's a documentary about out of the shadows. Out of the shadows.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's deep. I didn't know you was that woke, sis.
Man, I'm woke over here. You see this hair wrap? Yeah. I came back to my ancestors.
Hey family, y'all don't realize this, but I don't even know if I should spoil it and tell them, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Coach Michela has a birthday coming up, and she's gonna come down here and kick it, at least share part of it with us, with me and the wife. So we're gonna kick it. We're gonna probably even broadcast live together, and this will be the first time that I get to meet my auntie in person.
Yeah,
y'all didn't know that Coach Michela is actually my auntie. We learned that, the long way, but we family, and we just realized that not too long ago. But we'll be meeting for the first time, not next week, but the week after that, right?
Yep, in 2 weeks. I'm excited. Actually, 10 days from today.
Yeah.
10 days. I am excited. I'm going to do some segueing. I'm going to go on a tour. I'm going to do a lot of stuff. I'm going to eat with my family. I can't wait.
Yep.
I'm excited. Yep. I told somebody I was coming to Savannah. She was like, I'm jealous. I said, don't be jealous, girl. Just go on yourself because I'm going.
Yep.
So I love it. Thank you so much, Sherilyn. Thank you so much. Kimberly said that's what's up. Absolutely. So listen, we have enjoyed all the engagement. Y'all have been so good to us today. We thank you so very much for tuning in and being with us this long. Y'all have stayed the course today. Thank you so much. So make sure that you are listening to our podcast. Do some downloads for us. Thank you so much, Portia. Some downloads for us. Make sure that you please. We're trying to get to at least 100 YouTube subscribers. Right now, we're at something like
low.
Yeah, it's low, y'all. We ain't getting no over there. So can y'all do this for us? We got quite a few people on here. If you can go to our YouTube page at the His and Her Perspective Show and share it and ask at least 10 people. If y'all can get at least 10 people that y'all know to subscribe to our YouTube page, we're hoping to eventually be able to, we are streaming from there, but we want to get as many people on with this information as we possibly can. We sit and we research. We don't just come on here all willy-nilly. We spend time, we get into meetings. We do all these things to make sure that we come on and give great information on this show, as well as to be funny and entertaining, because we want y'all to not be bored. But so please share it and ask at least 10 people to subscribe, and maybe we'll come up with something that we don't know. Maybe the Lord drop us something that we can give to our 100th person.
Yeah. Y'all, His and Her Perspective cup or something. I don't know. We come
something. Yeah. See who the 100th person gonna be. Mm-hmm. So share. Sharing is caring, and we will be back with you all next Sunday
Same
to
channel.
share more information. And I'm so excited. This was really good. Thank you all so much.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good show. We appreciate y'all, family. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We love you for that.
We love you. God bless you. I'm Coach Michelamonè.
Coach Vaun, the Love Alchemist. Love y'all, fam.
Talk
Peace.
to y'all later. Bye.